Thank you so much, everyone. This is my first time speaking, so I appreciate the welcome and namaste and pranam. I will be speaking a little bit about the Hindu faith, or actually it's called Sanatan Dharm faith. So the laws of heaven and earth per our scriptures. Because Hinduism actually isn't a religion or a book of laws, it's really called Sanatan Dharm, and these are spiritual practices. And Sanatan Dharm translates to eternal or absolute duties or religiously, spiritually ordained practices that are incumbent upon all Hindus, regardless of class, caste, or sect. Hindus or Sanatanis are focused on spiritual rituals and practices because the God is within each of us. And therefore, our laws of heaven and earth are learned from the human qualities and characteristics that are represented in our beloved gods and goddesses, of which we have over 35 million different incarnations, with equal importance given to male gods and female goddesses. By having a very close, intimate, sacred, private relationship with our gods, we aim to live by the laws of heaven and earth. We aim to live a dharmic life of sacred duty by doing good deeds, or our karma, in the form of seva, or service toward humanity. And our end spiritual goal is moksha, or eternal liberation and release from maya, or the illusion of living a human life in a human society on this physical earth. So our sacred texts are many, and they are guides to living a righteous life towards the goal of higher and higher reincarnation, and then ultimately towards moksha, or our concept of heaven, which is eternal liberation. We follow two main righteous principles of heaven and earth, which is Vasudev Kutumbakam, or the world is one family, and Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am the whole universe and the whole universe is within me. Now, coming to our sacred texts in terms of what they say about the laws between heaven and earth, we have many teachings that are based on Vedanta, or the Vedic system, which are written how to live guides in a number of texts called the Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, and Sutras. And because these are written and interpreted by wise saints, sages, gurus, highly learned spiritual beings, these are meant to instruct us, but really we focus on day-to-day practices that we learn in our families, in our society, in our culture, our country of origin, and most of all, in our sacred temples of worship. Now, the main difference between the laws of heaven and the laws of earth is that on earth we aim to be connected to the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether or space. Now, I mentioned our Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, and Sutras, but the most well-known and popular sacred text of ours is the Bhagavad Gita. And that teaches us the relationship between good and evil. And that is where the laws of heaven come in, towards moksha, or eternal liberation. In the sacred Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna, or God Krishna, he gave his spiritual discourse to Arjuna, who was on the battlefield in a battle between good and evil, between uncles and cousins, and then his side. So this is our teachings of law and heaven and earth are based on fighting the good fight between good and evil. For example, Mahatma Gandhi used to read the Bhagavad Gita for direction and comfort whenever he was depressed. And he was approached by other faiths. But he, being a Hindu or a Sanatan Dharm, by reading the book, he learned his how to live teachings, and he spread them to the world in the teachings of ahimsa and nonviolence. So our laws of heaven and earth are based on not being attached to the earthly world or maya, or the illusion of this physical earth, but still being connected to the 5 elements, and then ultimately attaining moksha, or eternal liberation through spiritual practices of seva, of aham brahmasmi, being the whole universe and seeing the whole universe in ourselves and others, and Vasudev Kutumbakam, seeing the world as one family. Thank you, and Om Shanti 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 Om.